Today is January 19th, 2021. The Board of County Commissioners will convene. We have an invocation from Pastor Bob Azawade, if I said it right. Come on up, sir. I appreciate it.
Let's pray together. Dear Lord God, we thank you for being God. We thank you for giving us places like this where people who may have many differences are united in the fact that we know that we need something bigger than us and someone bigger than us to guide us. We thank you for the truth. We thank you for giving us the clarity of what is right and what the proper and decent and orderly way to conduct our daily business. We thank you for this county and the government and the leaders who have been freely elected to serve us. In an unusual day today, we thank you for America, and we thank you for giving us control in a time that could be very easily concerning for us. I pray for our president today. I pray for our new president tomorrow. And I just pray that you will show the world that a nation and a people and a citizenry that yield themselves to your authority will also see the wisdom and the command that we have to submit ourselves to the civil authority that you've established here. We ask today that you would guide in the business that's conducted today. We ask that you would be pleased and that you would put aside the things that might not matter for our own opinions or our own agendas. Help us to be guided by the rule of law and by the proper procedures. And we thank you for a beautiful place, a beautiful day. We thank you for being the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And we submit ourselves today to your authority as we submit ourselves to the authority of those that you have placed in positions of authority over us. We thank you for loving us. We thank you for being somebody who is real and somebody who hears us when we speak to you. We ask this morning your blessings upon this meeting. We thank you so much for the faith community and for the other places of service to our community here. We thank you for the bond that we have and the common love that we have for the things that affect our life the most. We thank you for the opportunity, even for me today, to be able to come to you on behalf of these people, requesting that you would guide and that you would be pleased with our efforts to control things decently and in order. We do love you, and we thank you that you love us. We ask all this today. I ask in the name of Jesus. Amen.
If I could ask everybody to keep their heads bowed for a moment of silence for Mayor Joe Coviello. Thank you all. Turn to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. So our recap is we have 25C, which really is just a change from the administrative agenda to the county agenda. Then we'll have, obviously, an update on the vaccines and, of course, our 44th extension to COVID-19. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I have one to pull, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Number 11.
Number 11. Anyone else like to pull any items from the agenda?
I'll make a motion to move the balance.
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion second on the floor. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Motion. Any public comment? Seeing none. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 11, Commissioner Mann.
I just need an update from staff on this. This is the sell a little iguana contract on Boca Grande. We've had that for quite a number of years. The thing that caught my attention, there was only one person bidding for the honor to go out there and capture iguanas. In the past, I thought we paid by the iguana, and that's how the folks got compensated. I think this indicates that we're paying by the hour, and I just don't know how you hunt iguanas by the hour and how you monitor that. So could anybody help me with
Chair?
it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Pete, will you please give the update?
Commissioner, we originally, back 10 or 12 years ago when we started this, it was by the iguana. It transitioned into by the hour because there weren't vendors who wanted to do it by the iguana after the population had been put under control. So it's been by the hour for some time, and this is all paid through an assessment out on Boca Grande, and this was all approved by the committee out there, the MSTU committee.
Is it a specific iguana committee, and that's all they do is approve those folks are paying for this? It's not the folks in Estero paying for collecting iguanas, and so it's all of their issue, and they're happy with it, even though it's by the hour. Do you have any idea how many we caught last year?
I don't know that. I could get you that number.
I'm not particularly curious. If the little committee there is happy, I'm happy, and we haven't heard from them to the contrary, so I'll move the item. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner, if it's any consolation, having governed Sanibel for a lot of years, we did have to switch from per iguana to the hour. So that
Same
change
thing,
took place. Yeah, just as the population got thinner, it became more difficult, and we only had one vendor bid for the contract, just for your notification.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Second item.
Motion is second. Any public comment? Seeing none, motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next, we'll go on to the administrative agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Administrative item number 1, approved construction service contract for JY Linear Park Trailhead improvements. Ehab, will you please board the overview?
Good morning. Ehab Gerges, Facilities Director. This item is to approve the construction for JY Linear Park. The park runs from Colonial north to 6 Miles Parkway in the south. It's about 6 miles long. And these improvements will be at the south entrance of the park. Construction will add 25 parking spaces, a building for restrooms, bike racks, and 2 pavilions, and some other site improvement like drainage and landscape. We're also connecting the park to 6 miles with a new driveway. Construction should be starting in the coming couple of weeks, and construction should be completed by end of September.
I'll move the item. If I could, Chairman, I just want to say thank you for staff for putting this together. It's been a great addition to that area of town. Gets a lot of use now. If people currently use that park now on that trail, this is going to be a great addition, just like we did along the Sanibel Bridge too, with the public access there. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Second, Commissioner Pendergrass's motion.
A motion is second. Any public comment? Any objections? Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 2 is award design service contract for Lee Trans South County Park and Ride Station. Mr. Cody, please present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Admin, County Attorney's Office. Robert Cody, Lee Tran. This is to approve the design services to Cardinal Inc. for the South Area Park and Ride. The South Area Park and Ride is to alleviate some of the congestion that we currently have over at Bell Tower facility now. It provides improvements not only on connectivity, but access as well as safety.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I'll move the item.
Motion on the floor.
I'll second Commissioner Pendergrass's motion.
I have a second. Any public comment? Any objections? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next item is number 3.
Commissioner, administrative item number 3 is approved construction for Yellow Fever Creek Hydrological Restoration Plan. Mr. Ottolini, please present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Roland Ottolini, Natural Resources. This is to award a contract to Cougar Contracting, LLC, for the Yellow Fever Creek Gator Slough Hydrological Restoration Project in the amount of $1,507,709. As you recall, this is a project in North Fort Myers, Cape Coral, using the Yellow Fever Creek Preserve, where we're restoring historic flows to Yellow Fever Creek that's otherwise excess going to Matlacha Pass through Gator Slough. This helps us with TMDL credits, and we were able to achieve or obtain $992,000 from FDEP for this project.
I'll make the motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Motion?
Second. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Second by Commissioner Mann. Public comment. Roland, I appreciate all you're doing and appreciate the opportunity that we received almost $1 million in funding. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you to the state DEP.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the hard work. Any objections? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Move on to public hearings.
Mr. Chair,
Wait, we had the,
moved item number 25 to
Oh, sorry, I moved item number 25. My bad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 25 is approve the purchase of a computer-aided dispatch and record system. I want to tell you quickly before I ask Ms. Brady to present this item, and the Undersheriff John Holloway is with us today as well from Sheriff Marcino's office. Commissioners, this is probably one of the most important public safety projects that we've done in almost as many years as I can remember. Between our public safety office and the sheriff's office, these are the only two agencies with countywide jurisdiction, and both of them are funded by ad valorem dollars, the Board of County Commissioners. It's part of the expansion of the EOC and a new consolidated communication system with the sheriff, and it transitions us into the next generation 911 technologies at the same time, which makes it much more accurate when someone calls from a cell phone. It much more accurately identifies the exact location of that person versus within a few hundred yards. So this is a really important partnership with the Sheriff's Office, and I'd like Ms. Brady to present the item in just a little more detail, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item that we bring before you is a single source upgrade expansion to our existing computer aid dispatch system, including a 5-year maintenance with Hexagon in the amount of $5.17. Again, as Roger mentioned, this is the first of 3 projects that we'll be bringing forward to the board as it relates to partnerships specifically with the County Sheriff's Office, and that from a historical point of view, you might recall that Hexagon won the county's bid for our computer-aided dispatch back in 2018. Public Safety went live with the system in 2019, and the county already currently has nearly $3 million invested in software, hardware, and services in the system. When it became apparent that the Sheriff's Office was looking to upgrade their computer-aided dispatch as well as their record management system, the Sheriff and the County Manager asked teams from both organizations to include staff from their IT departments as well as their dispatch operators to work together to look about expanding the Hexagon system. The funding will be coming from the E911 and from the Sheriff's existing budget for the remainder of this year, and we'll be bringing forward to you a CIP project in the upcoming budget cycle to fund the remaining out years. As Roger mentioned, the Undersheriff John Holloway is here this morning, and I believe he had a word or two that he wanted to be able to provide as it relates to this project. Staff remains available for questions.
as he's come before, Mr. Chairman, my pet peeve here is single source. So either one of you, if you could please comment on. It seems strange to me on a 911 computer upgrade that every county in America has 911, and why is it so hard to find only one? I mean, it's easy to find only one person, a company willing to bid on this. So, thank you.
If you
back to you, Ms. Brady.
I can address that right now if you would like. Back in 2018, We did do a request for proposal, so there was a bid process that the county went through in order to identify the Hexagon as the vendor that was selected through that RFP. What we are doing right now is expanding that initial contract to now include the Sheriff's Office, which when we put this out to bid, it was solely for Lee County Public Safety Administration. So by expanding and including the Sheriff's Office into this contract, we're leveraging terms and conditions as well as pricing that the county had already negotiated. So this is actually an expansion of that existing contract that was bid back in 2018.
Thank you. Thank you. That helps.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, let me say Sheriff Marcino would love to be here today, but unfortunately he was called away, sadly, on a family emergency, so he asked me to attend. Also, in response to your question, Commissioner, at the Sheriff's Office, this is a two-phase problem that we are solving. We are solving not just the computer-aided dispatch issue, but our computer-aided dispatch links to our records management system. And when the sheriff came into office, one of the first things he recognized was the need to use technology as a force multiplier. Deputies and personnel staffing is very, very expensive. You can maximize the efficiency and the effectiveness of your staff and your deputies if you provide high-level technology that targets prolific offenders and identifies areas where they'll be most effective in the field. So one of the first priorities the sheriff had is to upgrade our technology to make the most of the folks that we have. We recognized at that time that we needed to improve our computer-aided dispatch and our RMS system, our records management system, which leads into our intel unit. That being said, we were looking for the process. We were in the process of preparing to do RFPs for the record management system and the CAD when the conversation, thanks to a very great relationship we have with County Manager DeJarlais and his staff, about merging, and instead of reinventing the wheel, we would join them and take advantage of the contract they already had for CAD and also take advantage of the RMS system provided by Hexagon, because we were looking at the Hexagon RMS and we were happy with their Hexagon CAD system. So it was like I want to say it was an arranged marriage, but it was an arranged marriage that worked out really well. We are very, very excited about this. We've been looking to replace our RMS for quite a while, and our CAD system is becoming obsolete. The growth in this county is exponential, and we have the same number of deputies that we've had for many, many years. We have the same staff that we've had, and the way we're doing that, the way we're seeing crime drop and the way we're seeing faster response times and such is through the use of this technology. We're very excited about the opportunity to join the lead control out at the EOC. We look forward to that. We're in a Category 1 building. We look forward to permanently mounting our communications out in a Category 5 building. And we look at this as a win-win for all of the taxpayers and residents of Lee County, because we're going to improve the services that we currently provide, which are pretty good now, but they're going to get even better. And we're going to do it at lower cost, because rather than us going out and reinventing the wheel and standing alone, working together, we're getting a better deal. We're confident we're getting a better deal for the county and its taxpayers. And I'll answer any questions you all might have.
Any questions?
Jim, if I can move the item.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Thanks.
Any public comment? Any objections? Motion carries. Now we'll go to public hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Assistant County Attorney Amanda Swindle with your first public hearing. This hearing is to adopt a resolution to approve the issuance of multifamily mortgage revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $17,396,000 for a project known as the Crossings at Cape Coral Apartments. This item is before you because your approval is necessary in order to secure the tax-exempt status of these bonds. However, these bonds will not be a financial obligation of the county or its taxpayers. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer them.
Mr. Chairman, just one.
Sure.
remind me, it's called Housing Authority of Lee County, but it's not a Lee County agency.
Correct, Commissioner. It's the Housing Finance Authority of Lee County, and your oversight over that board is limited to the appointment of the members. It's a self-financed organization.
And a legislatively created agency.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
I move the item.
Second.
I have a second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Any opposition? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you all. Item number 2.
Morning, Commissioners. Joe Adams with the County Attorney's Office here for your second public hearing. I have the affidavit publication for your clerk. This is a request to amend the Verdana Village Development Agreement to amend the deadline for the proportionate share payment from a single lump sum, which is supposed to be due March 31st, 2021, to 2 separate payments due March 30th, 2021, and December 29th, 2021. The developer is requesting this due to COVID-19 and its impacts on the project. The second public hearing would be set for February 16th, 2021. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Only question, just wanted to put it on the record, Mr. DeJoulay, anybody from our Department of Community Development or Transportation have any problems with receiving the payments this way?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second on the floor. Any public comment? Any opposition? Motion carries unanimous. There's no walk-on, no carryovers that I'm aware of. Commissioner items.
Got some appointments when we get.
Commissioner, I just want to say welcome back to everybody. It's our first meeting of the year, 2021. Look forward to working with everybody and hope I had a great holiday. We're off and running. It's going to be a busy year, as I can tell already. So thank you for everything, for all the county staff over the holidays, for everything you've done.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other commissioner items?
No.
Commissioner appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I have 3. I have 2 for the Lehigh Acres Street Lighting District. These are reappointments: Tyler Woodby, Mohammed Yassin, and at the Morse Shores Street Lighting District, Clarence Bowman.
I'll second it.
Motion, a second. Any opposition? Motion carries. Commissioner Hammond?
I have none today.
I do have 2. They're both reappointments to the Welp Construction Advisory Board. One's Dana Burley and one's Thomas Everson.
Second to somebody's motion.
Second.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Pendergrass.
Yes, I have one reappointment of Kelly Greenfield to the Fort Myers Villas Street Lighting Unit.
Second.
That's it.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you.
I have 2 reappointments, Ronald Blazinski for the Old Pelican Bay Channel Canal MSBU, and Thomas Leonard to San Carlos Island Street Lighting Unit.
Second.
Second. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to the county manager items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, this morning we'd like to give you an update on the distribution of COVID vaccines in Lee County. And I just want to start by saying we have a pretty clear understanding as to why everyone is so frustrated. Everyone is in the category of age 65 and over is attempting to get a vaccination. There are probably 260,000 people in Lee County over the age of 65. And the problem exclusively is there just isn't enough vaccine to go around. There just isn't. The inventory is not available. Every week, the governor's office is told how many doses they'll get from the federal government, and the governor's office, through the Department of Emergency Management, lets the counties know how many doses will be available in that county. To be clear, this is a state of Florida program. This is not a Lee County program. It's a state of Florida program. Everything that we do has to be approved by the state of Florida through the governor's office, through the Department of Health. And so this morning, we'd like to give you just a brief update on sort of where we've been and then where we're going. So I'd like to start, please, with Angela Smith, who is the administrator for the Department of Health Lee County office.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with an update on COVID-19. Today marks 319 days since our first COVID case in Lee County. The total case count for Florida is 1,579,281 cases as of January 17th. As of January 17th, Lee County reported 48,438 cases. Of those cases, 729 resulted in deaths and 1,940 resulted in hospitalization. The good news, Lee County is trending down in positivity rate. On January 11th, we reported 435 cases and had a positivity rate of 10%. By comparison, January 17th, we reported 274 cases and our positivity rate was down to 8.12%. The state of Florida began vaccinations in December and has administered 1,031,795 vaccines. FDOH Lee began administering COVID-19 Moderna vaccinations on December 26th and in partnership with the county has administered over 19,500 vaccines to date. The total of vaccinations administered in Lee County, including other healthcare providers and the CVS-Walgreens partnership in long-term care facilities, totals 34,864 vaccines. FDOH Lee and Lee County government have administered more than half of all of these vaccines represented in Lee County. To speak to the success at the Lee County site is this fact: no other single site in the state is administering more vaccines in a day than our site. Our site has administered over 2,400 vaccines in one day with capacity to do much more. To further illustrate the expedience with which we are vaccinating our residents, our Moderna vaccination allocation for this week was 5,800 doses. This is more than any other county in the state for the week. Our team will talk more about the specifics of our vaccination site, but our only limitation at this time, as Roger mentioned, is the limited supply chain.
Hey, Angela, real quick, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I apologize. I think that's a big point, because I've heard that question from residents and also from local reporters too, who are interested in, are we getting our share from the state? So you mentioned we're getting 5,800 doses here in Lee County, and that's more than any other?
That's more than any other county in the state for this 6th week of vaccinations for Moderna.
Do you have any ideas, why we're getting so much?
Because we're getting it in people's arms and we're doing so very quickly.
Thank you very much.
I think it's really important. I've spent an awful lot of time out there to watch us go through this progression, and thank you for all you're doing out there. When you look at 2 weeks ago when there was 275,000 doses allocated, we continued to do that. The following week, there had to be adjustments made to Walgreens and Publix and some others, and that even got reduced, and yet we received more vaccines. I know everyone's been advocating loudly and clearly in that regard. This week was just another indication, and what's lost in this is that there's another 12,000 doses that we have received for second doses, which is really important. I know a lot of people have a lot of anxiety associated with this, and listen, I think every Board of County Commissioner gets it. We understand it's been since March. We understand your anxiety. We're doing the best we possibly can for a county as small as we are. When you compare us to some of the large counties, we are administering and executing with precision. I mean, you need to go out to RSW to watch what we do. Staff's done an amazing job. It's a state-run facility. It's a state-run program. It's the state's vendor. We're just actually doing logistics, and that's what we do here. And that's what people fail to realize. You've had 9 months to plan this. Well, no, we did not, because I don't think any county commissioner up here envisioned us actually running logistics on this. But be it as it may, because what people failed to realize is that the health system went through a financial adjustment, and a radical one, because of COVID. Our own Lee Health went through dramatic reductions through their staff. So when you want to turn the light on, you don't have the people to do so. And I applaud, having spent the number of hours I have at the EOC. Their staff has done an amazing job. We've been throwing curveball after curveball after curveball, and all we do is just dust ourselves off and do what we're supposed to do, is help the citizens of Lee County. I understand everyone's anxiety. I think as allocations truly do increase, We have the facility, and I know staff's already worked up all the various projections, and we can continue to ramp up at a rate that we could probably do 50,000 or more a week if we had the vaccines. That's really what it comes down to. And the issue that most people don't realize, in some clarity, not to be long-winded, but it's a federal program funded by federal dollars. We cannot turn anyone away. I just came back from New York. Mom had brain surgery last week, and I was on the plane with a gentleman who's come from New York to get vaccinated here. He was tired of waiting for New York, and that's what he was doing. I found it amazing that he was coming down here for that particular purpose. He got an appointment, made a phone call, and that's what he's doing. So those are the issues that I think people need to realize. It's been just an amazing process watching you as someone that's relatively new to this process. And I do commend yourself, Angela. You've been wonderful to work with. And Roger, your team has been great.
Thank you, sir.
My comments.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Thank you. Angela, thank you to all your staff that's working out there between the county staff and your staff is working out. RSW has been, like you said, a tremendous effort. And like our chairman said, we took on a lot and we've got a lot done. The thing I hope we can talk about today is, Roger, what we can do in the future about getting this information out to the public, because it's up to us to get the word out. I asked the media 3 weeks ago outside to hopefully get the message out to people, not to show up before 8 o'clock and get the message out. This is a state program. It's still perceived. You turn the news on, they'll say it's a county program. It's the county did this. Lee County did this. How do we get that message out? How do we constantly get that message out to the public? What's going on, how the success rate is going. There's not enough vaccine. You will get it sooner or later, but there's a vaccine coming to get people to not have so much anxiety over it.
Commissioners, I think we're 2 weeks into this, and we now have enough information that we're planning to get with our communications vendor to create the new narrative, so that we can tell people, whether it's by video on television, video on all of our or video on all of our social platforms. It's an important message to get out, because we know people really are angry, but we want people to know exactly what you've said this morning. Right now we're administering about between 2,500 and 3,000 doses per day, which is more than any of the surrounding counties. I keep hearing that people think we should be doing it like Collier County does, or someone else, the way someone else does it. The difference is we're doing twice as many doses per day as anyone in the region. We are prepared to ramp this operation up to 10,000 doses per day. In fact, if the doses were available, I would commit to you that we could have everyone in Lee County vaccinated by the end of May. But it requires something on the order of about 10,000, maybe a little over 10,000 doses per week to be provided to Lee County. So we'll be talking with our vendor this afternoon on that communications program.
So like the chairman said, the gentleman that's coming here from New York, I heard the governor's comments last night saying he cannot stop people, but he does not want to get people from out of state vaccines. And it's sad that Americans have to travel across the country because of felon policies in New York. They're having to leave the New York states to come here to get a vaccine because there are felon efforts there. But how do we do that? Because I know the governor said yesterday he's going to keep people from out of state from getting the vaccine, but locally, can we stop that from happening?
So the vaccinations are a federal asset, and as such, we cannot exclude anyone from receiving them. However, what the public needs to understand is where your home residence is where your vaccine is being allocated to. So by coming down here and taking, vaccinations that were allocated to Lee County residents, you're essentially taking a vaccine from someone else. And then the other issue that I strongly caution individuals traveling for vaccine or who have received a first dose, you cannot mix manufacturers. Right. So you need to be mindful of where you're going to be at when your second dose is due. Otherwise, that truly is a dose wasted.
That's why I was wondering, is that gentleman, if he's going to come back in 28 days for a second dose, or why I'm not surprised somebody actually would do that. But like you said, there are some people that have that much anxiety over it. So.
Yes, sir. I think that makes the point about the level of anxiety, that people are willing to buy a plane ticket, spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to travel somewhere to get vaccinated.
Right.
Just a couple of quick things. We talk about the vaccine itself. We talk about numbers. We talk about the setup, and that's all great. And like a lot of people here, I've been out to the site and I've watched this. The thing that impressed me most is the culture we've been creating in Lee County, people to people, the empathy that we have for the frustrations, the empathy we have as we deliver the services, and the positive conversations when it's all done, they can leave the tent at the other 15 minutes. The other thing I would ask is that as we've all taken calls, a lot of calls, well, in this state or that state, they're doing this or doing it that way. I can't answer what's happening in a particular state or another county, but we can give you the best information for this county here, and how you want to compare that's up to the constituents and stuff like this. But trust me, we're trying to get it done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And I think when you stack it up, we're as good, if not better, than most. So thank you for the effort, Angela and the team.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so pleased to hear all of us comment on how this program is being undertaken and administered today. And Commissioner Hammond, I appreciate everything you did as the previous chairman getting ready for this, as we were just trying to monitor and get our hands around this. Ms. Smith, there's no way we can adequately thank you for your leadership, because this entire burden starts on your shoulders, and you've carried it so strongly. I want to make one comment here, and this sounds a little defensive, but there was an organization a month ago, as we're just getting into the first week of vaccines here, that called for the resignation of our county administrator because we weren't doing a good job at getting the shots out. If there was ever a premature recommendation by any group about the personnel here, that had to set the record. And I do sound defensive, but that was uncalled for at that time. Mr. Desjardins has done a superb job without a handbook on the most difficult challenge we've been handed here in my memory, the 14 years I've been privileged to serve. So my hat's off to both you guys for a superb job. And it needs to be said one more time that eligible for vaccines in Lee County are nearly 250,000 people when you take the out-of-towners here. 250,000 over 65, and we got 5,800 vaccines a week. Now, folks, that's an impossible mathematic challenge, but we are doing a superb job here. And the people that have gone through the process recently, you're hearing from them. They're thrilled to death with how fast they get through. I got a phone call from a dear friend of mine, 74 or 5 years old, who said, Frank, we went to the airport where y'all are set up for us. We were out of there 20 minutes before our appointment called for. So again, thank you, and thank you everybody for the way y'all are responding to all this.
Let me go one more comment. Very proud to be a veteran, and through the help of the team, we reached out to the VA. Their supply chain is a little bit different than ours, but they're reaching out to all the veterans. So if you are a veteran and you need to get a shot or want to get a shot and stuff like this, contact the VA. You have to be registered with the VA, but that's another source, direct source, which helps in solving the problem.
Go ahead. Roger, one thing, two questions real quick, and I'll finish up. How can we get on the list for getting Publix this year? And I know the governor's making an announcement this morning in Jupiter, Florida, at a Publix. I assume Publix is coming online there. I know Collier County, they've brought on 16 stores there. Has there been any talk from emergency management of getting the local Publixes back to get some more variety of locations, so it's not just all one location? And two, I think one of the biggest complaints and the frustration of the people calling the number is when the call center opens up, 15, 20 minutes later, they either get the phone calls drop or they don't get any type of response. Have you talked to the vendor about getting a, well, maybe this is probably for Angela since the vendor works for you guys, have you talked to the vendor about getting more of a generic response, like a message saying, the call center is closed, or the appointment's already been filled, or something other than saying nothing or just getting cut off?
So I'll start with the Publix. My understanding is the plan is to roll on new Publix county by county, and it's kind of hit or miss. I don't really have the details as far as what the differentiation is, why Collier did and Lee didn't. But my understanding is that additional Publix locations will be brought on week by week as supplies.
Or any pharmacies. I mean, you've got
Absolutely,
pharmacies
yeah.
throughout the county that has the staff that could do it. A minimum 50 to 100 appointments a day would help obviously take the burden off your staff then.
Sure, and the supply chain, again, is, I think, the biggest hindrance there. So hopefully we'll see additional Publixes roll on within the next coming weeks.
And Commissioner, with regard to your question on the reservation system, Ms. Brady, will you please
Yeah, the message is a generic message, so
speak to
people
that
don't get
issue?
no information because people will get frustrated. They call for an hour, then they don't get any type of response.
Just as a point of understanding, the county was asked by the state to participate in the pilot program for a call center as well as a potential web-based application for scheduling first and second doses. The pilot program is now officially over, and all of that information, including how the messages, how the operators are responding, we've taken all of that information. Ashley Mason, who heads up our innovation technology team, has worked with the staff at DEM and is the primary point of contact with the vendor. So they continue to work through those scripts and continue to fine tune that overall program. The state has made a decision in giving the county permission to move forward with the tidal basin and share care vendor for a full solution. And so some of that is being dictated by the state, but we are talking through Angela's channels at the Department of Health as well as the state DEM to address those customer service and those customer call center issues. So it is a primary goal every single day to continue to work through that customer service experience.
Thank you.
Commissioners, it's important for people to know, and as difficult as this is, these call centers, when we open those lines and say we've got 5,000 or 6,000 doses available, those call centers, when we say it's going to open at a particular time, the number of calls hitting that call center are in the neighborhood of 50,000 calls per second initially. And there's not a system in the world that can stand that kind of pressure. And it affects not only the call center itself, it affects all of the communications carriers, all the AT&Ts and everyone else in the world.
Verizon goes down with that.
Verizon, yes, sir. It affects all of them. And I know the state continues to work with all of them, but this is going to continue to be difficult. It just will. One of the things we want to tell you today is that we'll be issuing a press release after the meeting today that the phone lines will open at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for people to schedule those 5,800 doses. And we anticipate that there will be about 2,000 call takers available for the Lee County and one or two other counties at the same time. And they will either get a live person who will get them an appointment for one of those 5,800 doses, or they'll stay on the line and give their information so they can get a call back for when new doses are available. So, more to follow on that, but this is going to be difficult for a while yet.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what we expect. So we'll open the call center, and with even 2,000 operators, the phone lines at 50,000 calls coming in a second will be jammed immediately, like they have the last couple times we've opened it up. So knowing that it's going to be a bad experience, why are we making the decision to do it?
Because we have no choice. We are compelled to use the state's reservation system. Last week during conference call with the state of Florida Department of Emergency Management, the director was very clear that no county has the option to go have a homemade system or some other system. That once the state puts these systems up live for everyone has to use them.
And another way to say it too is it's a bad system, it's a bad way of doing it, but it's actually the best way for us to get these 5,800 doses that we are going to get next week reserved so that we can get them in people's arms.
Yes, so what will happen is we will have all 5,800 doses programmed for delivery, being by schedule. And we have to remember that that's the goal. We talk about that every day. The goal is to get shots in arms. And that's why we've gotten more doses this week than anyone else in the state, because we're getting the shots in arms between the Florida Health Department and Lee County government. You know, every dose that we get that is for the public is getting administered. And I know it's not pretty, and I know it's maddening for everybody involved, but the work is getting done. So, you know, I can't think of nor can I, technology people, think of another system that's going to work any better than this one.
Let's just talk about it publicly, though, because I think a lot of folks don't get to see the deliberations that we have. I mean, folks ask me all the time, they're frustrated, why not an online solution?
Chris, you want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. The staff is working very closely with the state vendors, Tidal Basin and ShareCare, as well as the state DEM and the state's chief technology officer. So there is a web-based solution that is coming, and we were very hopeful that we were going to be able to roll that out this week. There was conversations that went late into the night last night with the state vendor. It's just the state hasn't given the approval to move forward with it. There are still some things that the state needs to work through before they're comfortable with moving forward with that solution. We are very hopeful that that is going to be available to use, hopefully when we get our next round of vaccinations. But again, with the technology of that, they want to make sure that the system has capacity and that they can manage the load of that amount of people who are going to be hitting it, and they also want to make sure that they're covering all of their bases before they turn that on. So a lot of work is going into that, and very hopeful that that will be available very soon.
Let's also talk about this publicly, because again, it's questions they're questions I get. Why aren't we using Eventbrite or Microsoft Forms or some of the things that the smaller counties are using?
So as Roger had mentioned earlier, the state has made it very clear on their conference calls with the counties that this state solution that is being implemented is going to be what the state is using for vaccine allocation. So if we're not using the state system, we may be impacting the allocation that it is coming into Lee County. And we've had great success with getting the allocation based on the 5,800. We want to make sure that we continue to move forward with the solutions that's going to get the vaccines sent to Lee County.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brady. And then finally, just one comment I want to make, respectfully, just to point out as an observation. We mentioned earlier that it's best if you get your vaccine in your home county, because that's how the allocations are going. But I think, what I've observed is happening here is we've got a community. In fact, we've got a community that's very used to traveling to Collier, and Collier's very used to traveling here. Charlotte's very used to coming to Lee County. In fact, there's probably a 5-county television viewing area that is really used to coming to Fort Myers as the regional hub for medical services or other things, shopping. And I think what we're seeing here is it's not just Lee County's population that's competing for the shots, the 5,800 shots that will open the phone lines up tomorrow, but anybody who saw that broadcast and saw that number and is within driving distance is going to call that number. And vice versa. I know of Lee County residents that are trying to get it in other counties as well. And so I just think I don't know how to get that message out or to ask people to try to get your shot in your home county, because I think people are so desperate to get it right now, they're doing whatever they can to get it. But it would help. It would be helpful if you could.
Commissioners, we can send that message all day long, but people are so anxious about getting this vaccine that if we start getting 10,000 doses today, I'd be pretty comfortable in telling you we're going to become a regional distribution center, and people are going to be coming from all over. And so those 10,000 a week or 10,000 a day aren't going to be, they won't go just to Lee County citizens. The more vaccine we get, probably the more people from the outside are going to show up.
Along those lines, just to elaborate, I have some insight. I did mention the story of the gentleman I sat next to, and he called. That's what he did. He got an appointment and came down. The good news is we have made it very clear that you will have a second shot. So He was very confident that we would give him a second shot, and he was very confident getting back on a plane to come here. He said he has zero confidence in New York, and that's why he was on the plane. A couple things to note, and I think it's really important. First and foremost, there's 34,000, almost 35,000 vaccinations we've done in Lee County. So as much as we lead, and Angela's group is doing that, Lee Health is working as well doing that. We've collaborated with them. We've tried to have a very unique mission. The mission is to vaccinate people 65 and over, 35,000. As their allocations increase, our allocations increase, we get to do more. As far as the state's vendor, I was there at the EOC when the phone calls went live the first day, and to watch the spike, and I learned things that I never thought I would. So Verizon has a term called throttling. So you take a phone call and you basically send it to an 800 number, and you basically slow down the transmission because you can't handle the line. And I was talking to a former AT&T executive about this concept, and I'm like, oh, okay, how do they do that? So I appreciate everyone's anxiety, but having been to the site, people coming from Collier, I talk to people. People coming from Charlotte, and now the gentleman, my new friend from New York, is coming here to get vaccinated. So it just goes to tell you that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as well as we could. Watching us get 4,500 2 weeks ago, 9,000 last week, and then 5,800 this week. On top of that, we have 12,000 second doses, which there was so much amount of anxiety associated with that people could feel comfortable that we're going to do that and do that well. I just think there's some misconceptions, but part of the message, and I think Director Brady said it well, is we're trying to cooperate and collaborate with the state. It's the state's vendor, but as a result, we in Lee County last week received vaccinations when nobody else did. No one on the West Coast received any vaccines. We did. This week, we're leading the area as well. We're cooperating with the state. The governor next gets to make an executive order. It's 65 and over. And basically, we're doing the best we can following the rules we actually have to play by. I think it's really important for people to understand that, and I think we'll continue to get this done. But I appreciate everything you've done, and I have just a much greater appreciation to how you all manage in a crisis, and you've done a remarkable job. And I couldn't thank you all enough.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, we have just if you have time, we have just a couple more things we'd like to show you. I'd like to bring the slide up to show everyone the site out at RSW and have Mr. Salyer take everyone through that very quickly.
Thank you, and Commissioners, we'll rehash some territory, so I will move quickly. You've all been to the vaccination site, but for those who haven't, we're situated at the old airport terminal located in the Skyplex Commercial Center, which really is the most centrally located, easily accessible site that we could hope to control for an extended period of time. And as you know, patrons enter the complex via either Chamberlain Parkway or J. Doherty Parkway, which is right off of Daniels, just east of I-75. And from there, they simply park their car, and our staffs walk them through the entire process. We'll be providing approximately 3,000 vaccinations a day on both Thursday and Friday of this week. And so we do want to emphasize what the chairman and the county manager have already stressed, and that is that the team has built this site to be highly scalable. So we can handle multiples of what we've done thus far. And the bottom line is this site is equipped to provide tens of thousands of vaccinations a week just as soon as the federal and state governments can get us that kind of supply. So final point on this, lots of kudos have gone around, but again, just to thank everyone who's been involved. It's not only been a county operation, it's a multi-agency operation. Ben Siegel and his Port Authority staff facilitated our use of the site. Obviously, Angela Smith and her DOH team are at the center of this. Our EMS team supplements their vaccinators every single day. Sheriff Carmine Marcino has supplied us with a terrific team to provide on-site security. And of course, the county departments, again, stepped up big. We've used our e-roll system to bring staff in from almost every county department to man this operation. We've also used our Lee Cares personnel, so they continue to do good work for us. I know I'm leaving people out, but suffice it to say, when patrons are walking off of that site, they are giving us lots of thanks for the customer service that your county team has provided. And so we want to thank them.
Real briefly, Mr. Chairman, if I may too, one final question again that I want to talk about publicly because I get it a lot is so some counties, neighboring counties, they're doing shots every single day, and we're able to do shots only 2 days a week right now. And am I understanding it correctly? It's because we can go through our entire allotment in 2 days?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So we will be doing more than 400 vaccinations an hour at the site this week, and that can scale up from there. But when you have 5,800 doses, we can absolutely get through that easily in 2 days.
So the other counties that may be doing it every single day are doing far fewer shots a day?
Normally in the hundreds at best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chris, is there other IT items we need to cover?
I think we covered all of our IT, but I would like to take a moment and just talk through the communications with all of you. First, I'd like to just echo Glenn's words of thanks to all the agencies and all of the staff that have put this together. It has been short notice. It has been quick. They have risen to the challenge, and it's been my pleasure to work with all of them. And hearing your words of support today are deeply appreciated. Our Director of Communications, Betsy, and our Communications Social Media team have been working together with our partner agencies, Florida Department of Health, Emergency Management, as well as the Sheriff's Office to discuss and put together frequently asked questions. We've updated our website. Our website is www.legov.com/COVID-19/vaccine. There have been videos that have posted throughout our social media platforms while we continue to respond to inquiries both by email as well as our social media platforms. We have had multiple press releases, the next one going out after this board meeting. We've held a number of press conferences and will continue to do so when we have pertinent information that needs to get out to the public quickly. And we have continued to have our joint information communication partner calls, and that is with all of the agencies that participate that here in Lee County, which also includes the health system, the education system, and many of our human and veteran services agencies. We will continue to work with our vendor, PTE, to develop what Roger says, create the new narrative moving forward, and we hope to start that conversation later today. Thank you.
Chris. And Commissioners, finally, there's been lots of conversation about the underserved community, and would like Mr. Moore to describe for you the efforts to date.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, County Manager. Acknowledging the challenges of our underserved community as well as transportation disadvantaged individuals, the county has taken on several outreach actions I'd like to brief you quickly on this morning. With more than 2,000 registered passport customers over the age of 65, Lee-Tran has sent out automated calls offering complimentary round trips to the RSW vaccination site if there's a confirmed appointment for a vaccination. Also, this past Friday, we had two particular activities I'd like to brief you. The county partnered with the Florida Department of Health as well as Lee-Tran to offer a complimentary round trip and vaccination appointment at DOH's headquarters on Michigan Avenue for all active Lee-Tran passport customers residing within several underserved communities. The Friday number on that chart that was just up there, those numbers include that effort. Also on Friday afternoon, another strategic partnership with the Florida Department of Health Lee as well as the Fort Myers Housing Authority, we offered vaccinations to residents of several housing authority locations. Lee-Tran also provided transportation, complimentary transportation that is, to the vaccination site at Renaissance Preserve from Bonaire and Royal Palm Towers. In an effort to build additional outreach strategies, the county also partnered with the Florida Department of Health and facilitated a virtual meeting last Thursday of community and faith-based leaders. Emerging from that meeting were three major takeaways. One is the need for an effective educational campaign to overcome misinformation and vaccine hesitancy. And as a matter of fact, on Friday, we took the opportunity to vaccinate two prominent pastors of a large congregation that will be used as part of that community communication campaign. Another takeaway is a comprehensive plan for communicating with the community and sharing critical information needs to be developed and shared with the targeted communities. And lastly, the identification of a potential faith-based site that has the capacity to efficiently host vaccination events. As for the next steps, we will be meeting with that same group, smaller numbers of individuals, to tighten up certain aspects of the plan and continue to work with the Department of Health on opportunities for community-based vaccinations. I would also like to share the slide that you're looking at there in front of you now. Our counts for vaccines by County Health Department. It's showing Lee County ranked third at the end of last week. Now, this information does not include hospitals and other entities. These are vaccinations performed by the county health departments.
Thank you, Mark. Commissioners, that's all we have for you today on this topic. If you have additional questions, we're happy to answer, but thank you for your support, and a very sincere thank you to the senior team for their leadership and all of the county employees, Sheriff's Office, and in particular Public Health Department folks for all they do.
Can I ask you to send that chart that's on the screen right now to all the county commissioners?
Yes, sir.
Separate attachment, thank you.
Is there a way we could get it updated daily as well? I mean,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to be able to see it daily.
We're happy to do that.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go over to the county attorneys.
Good morning. We have for your approval the 44th extension of the COVID-19 SOL.
Move approval. Oh, second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Any objections? Motion carries. Next item will be public comments. I have 3 cards. Major Carol Gragris.
Carl.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Can't read your handwriting. I apologize.
It's okay. Good morning. I appreciate me having the opportunity to have just a short time to say thank you on behalf of the Salvation Army, the people we serve, and all of our staff and volunteers for the partnership with the county. We are very grateful with the continued support that you have provided throughout the years for the Triage Center. And we are excited to say that we have 82 beds. We have 9 medical respite beds, and we continue to work to getting people off the streets and into maybe a different way of living. And we really had still have a wonderful partnership with our cold weather outreach that we did recently with our cold weather nights, working with the county, the partners, the great volunteers that were involved. We were able to get a lot of folks off the street and into our shelter, and hopefully into a brand new way of life. And so we just want to say thank you for those opportunities of being involved. We thank you again for the support, and then we have some exciting things that are coming up. We actually had a soft opening already of the Salvation Army Homeless Resource Day Center, which is over right on the corner across from the Center of Hope at the corner of Edison and Royal Palm. It will be open Monday through Saturday from 9 to 6. It will also be open on holidays. We'll be providing these items there for those that would be coming in off the street: a noon meal, showers, laundry facilities, clothing assistance, postal boxes, first aid, some medical. We're working to develop that. Coffee, snacks, a place to charge cell phones, emotional and spiritual care, and then a host of wraparound services by partners and groups that will be coming involved with that as we begin to get our agreements together and folks coming in. So this, we hope to have a grand opening coming up soon, but this was our old Crossroads program, and it was a program where we helped those in addiction. That program had been in place since the 70s, and it kind of continued to get smaller and smaller, and so we had to close that, and we just had an open space. And wow, what an opportunity to repurpose that space. We can actually impact the lives of so many more people. We had 30 beds in there before with the old recovery program, but now literally hundreds of people will be involved in hopefully getting a new direction for their life, getting into their own home, finding out that there's a better plan for their life than living on the streets from day to day. So, again, we want to say thank you. We appreciate each of you and your support, and we look forward to having you come out for tours and visits in the very near future.
Thank you. Amen.
Right. Sure.
So much of the meeting today, so much of the last number of months has been talking about the pandemic and all the issues associated with that. I'd like to thank the Army because they're there every day. Year after year, and they've been an invaluable resource today in an emergency, but thank you for what you do every day. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Major.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Willie Joe Schottmiller.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to address the needs of the homeless. I'm glad that the Salvation Army has got that added resource, but we have to go further. I've met with the city manager, and he wants to meet with the county manager here, so when we need to talk. Saeed is willing to sit down and discuss issues to, as the major is saying, we need a better way of life for the homeless. So if we all work together, we can do that. I will approach the major and get a card from him to find out his, brainstorming, and together, united, we can do something about this issue. People do not need to be sleeping outside, and we need housing built, which Lois Healy has done some things in Lehigh and North Fort Myers. So working together, we can have solutions that are starting to better lives, as he stated. So, Mr. County Manager, after the meeting, we can discuss that. I'll get a card from you and get a card from the major and go from there. People need to live a normal life as they can. There's too many people on the street, a lot of with mental health issues, some with drug addiction, which Salvation Army can help with that. So I'm glad that there are more resources, but there are more that need to be. The old bus station would be an added resource to partner Salvation Army and all the agencies to have more resources for people as an outreach. Thank you.
Thank you. The last card I have is Mohammed Yassin.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, everyone out here. What I've observed this morning and what I've heard, COVID had been an issue not only here, throughout the country. And I want to say, this is like gold rush of 1800s. There's not enough supply based on the demand. And I got to thank you guys for what I've heard this morning. And I want you all to remember, there's a couple of things that a couple of commissioners, I think one specific commissioner mentioned and or asked. How are we going to get the information out to the people? People think that the conception here in this county and probably around is that Lee County commissioners are in charge of this program. Now, unless you make it clear to the people, to the media, and for everyone, when you publicize this, it will continue to create confusion. So please, if you're doing marketing and you're good at marketing, this is how you do it. Because it had created a lot of frustration. It still does. I'm thankful that I had my first dose. And thankfully, I didn't get it from VA, although I did sign up with VA. I want to thank you all. I think the young lady from the Department of Health this morning did a superb job. And I thank you, commissioners, and the county manager, and all those who were involved to bring this together for all of Lee County and outside. The only reservation I have, and I know it's a federal program, is people from outside. I am not saying that, look, people from other counties shouldn't come here, but I am concerned about people from other countries getting the dose when they are not satisfying the tax base that we have satisfied as Americans. So Canadians shouldn't get it, Switzerland shouldn't get it, unless they're in this country. So that's a fault that we have, and it's not yours, it's probably from where it's coming. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll call for an adjournment. Thank you all.